India has the largest youth population in the world. India and our people have tremendous opportunity in next few years.
This is the moment for India. India's time has come.
Ministry of External Affairs is signing mobility and migration partnership agreement with the countries. Institute set up कर रहे हैं. देश भर में भारत सरकार ने स्किल इंडिया इंटरनेशनल सेंटर्स की स्थापना करी है. We train close to 50 लाख लोगों को हर साल.
Because there are problems. We have a huge population abroad, almost 35 million.
ये एक और एडेड बेनिफिट है NSDC इंटरनेशनल का. अगर आप इस माध्यम से जाते हैं, आप वहाँ पे तकलीफ में नहीं होंगे, ये मेरा वादा है.
Welcome to SkillPod, a podcast series brought to you by NSDC, National Skill Development Corporation of India. Here we are focusing on stakeholder aspirations, learning initiatives that address skill gaps and emerging earning opportunities. I'm your host Annie, and in this episode we are highlighting NSDC International's innovative efforts in creating opportunities and shaping a connected and skilled global workforce. A quick word about our guest today, Mr. Tiwari, so CEO of NSDC and Managing Director of NSDC International. You have over 30 years of experience in various sectors. And Mr. Tiwari, I think you very strongly believe in the power of technology to democratize skill development, employment, as well as entrepreneurship. He is one of the main drivers of India's big push towards upskilling our workforce. Our second speaker is Dr. Dnyaneshwar Mulay, advisor to the CEO office NSDC, an accomplished diplomat with over 40 years of experience that includes key positions in Japan, Russia, Mauritius, Syria, Maldives, and the United States. He helped revolutionize passport services in India, an accomplishment that earned him the sobriquet Passport Man of India. Who better to explain the complexities and the opportunities of India's skill proposition than someone who has represented us Indians abroad? Mr. Tiwari, Mr. Mulay, welcome aboard on SkillPod.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I have to start with you, Mr. Tiwari. You have at least 30 years of experience, like I did say, various sectors. You were an ex-bureaucrat. IRS was your area of expertise. And then you've also worked in other sectors like, for instance, the Cochin Metro. It's a rich experience you have. Can you tell us a little more about it?
So, first of all, I am really excited to participate in this series of podcasts where we'll talk about what NSDC is doing for this country. As far as my experience goes, I have worked in Indian Railways for about 25 years. And as part of this assignment, I built Delhi Metro Phase 1 and then was responsible for bringing freight corridor and high-speed trains to India.
Wow.
And I was working in Ministry of Railways. And then I moved to Kochi Metro. I was director in Kochi Metro, set up the Kochi Metro. Then I moved to private sector. I have worked in power sector, highways, waterways, oil and gas. So a wealth of experience in infrastructure sector. And that's why I know that India's growth story has to be a skill story.
Mr. Mulay, Passport Man of India. That's a wonderful title. I'm sure there is a lovely story behind it, an inspiring one to say the least. So, Can you tell us more?
Well, there was a time in India when people simply thought that passport is an impossible act. It's like uphill climb to the Everest. So, we had a very dynamic minister, Sushma Swaraj, and we had a very dynamic Foreign Secretary, Dr. Jaishankar. So it was the vision of Mrs. Sushma Swaraj that Minister of External Affairs should be serving the people. In other words, diplomacy should be understood by common man. How do we do that? The best way is to improve and reform the passport system. So we did two things precisely. Qualitative change in terms of increasing number of offices, 450 during 2 years, all over India, almost every district covered.
That is a mammoth task.
And the second one was reducing the documentation from 16 to 3.
Wow.
and making the process simple. So today no agent is required. You can do it on a mobile phone, and the process is absolutely very, very simple. It's a good example of technology as well as public-private partnership.
Absolutely. One that has benefited millions
True.
across the country today, and which is also the reason I think we have been seeing so many people move to different parts of the world. Government of India is focusing on training and skilling our youth. What is NSDC's role in this skill landscape?
So as you might have seen, our Honorable Prime Minister recently said that India will become a Viksit Bharat by 2047. And somewhere he saw this in 2015 when a Skill India mission was launched. And over last few years, our focus has moved a lot towards making India as a skill capital of the world. What it means? That India has the largest youth population in the world. 2/3 of our population is in working age.
Right.
And 50% of our population is below 25 years of age. If you see, our median age is 28, whereas China is 38, Germany is 48, and Japan is 49. So India and our people have tremendous opportunity in next few years. The world will add close to 100 crore people in next 25 years. Every fourth such new worker will be an Indian.
Wow.
And that is an opportunity that as an Indian, we are not only going to participate in our domestic economy, but 1/4 of the new world economy will be built by an Indian. And that is where the opportunity for Skill India mission lies.
You have also traveled the world, Dr. Mulay. You have seen the requirements that different parts of the world have. So when it comes to skilling the workforce, what are some of the major challenges you see here in India?
This is the moment for India. India's time has come.
Okay.
I know there's so much of convergence. You have a huge environment and ecosystem of reforms, economic reforms within India.
Sure.
And you have a huge requirement in the world at a scale unprecedented.
Correct.
And that requirement only one country can really fill in. That's India. The reason is, if you want 20,000 people, India has 20,000 people who can be trained or are already trained, and they can be supplied. The global scene right now is that all the developed countries, they are seeing a deteriorating rate of population, in the sense negative rate of population, number one. Number two, the population has a trend of aging right now.
Correct.
And the requirements are huge, because as you grow old, you require healthcare.
Correct.
You require caregivers, you require nurses, hospitals. So all kinds of skilled this thing. The global scenario, it could be maybe 100 million people that are required. Who will give 100 million? It's only India. And yes, there are challenges, and I can say a few of them. We have heard time and again instances where people die on their way to the destination country. We have had recently examples where people have frozen on the Canadian border while entering US. We have had examples of women being trafficked. Same happens with male workers also. Their hours are not controlled. They don't get the salary that is due. Their agreements are not honored. So who else? NSDC is a requirement of our times.
Right.
An authorized channel that can serve the global requirement. Because ethical and legal migration is extremely important, and that role is being performed by NSDC and NSDC International in a complementary manner.
We will get deeper into this conversation, because this brings to mind the donkey route that people usually take up. But before we get to that, I would like you to tell us about how NSDCI is kind of bridging that gap of the global opportunities that are available outside and preparing our workforce for the opportunities.
Somehow this whole international migration is a global problem. It's a sad thing that people move out of the borders of their country to make their future, but they land into several problems. Our Honorable Prime Minister has started giving a lot of focus on this. Ministry of External Affairs and Ministry of Skill Development are working very closely on this. That's a beautiful part of it, that the various ministries of the Government of India are working on this. Ministry of External Affairs is signing mobility and migration partnership agreement with the countries, and that is a welcome move because the two countries are agreeing on migration.
Correct.
And that opens an opportunity. We are thankful to Ministry of External Affairs that in many of these mobility partnerships, the NSDC has been roped in as a nodal partner. And there what we do is that we work with foreign employers. We understand what their needs are. And then we have a large countrywide skilling ecosystem. We tap into our skilling ecosystem.
Right.
And the pool of youth which is ready to go there, and if they need some upskilling, we provide through our own network. So it's a win-win for everyone because the destination country, they welcome these people, otherwise not. And as a country, we tap into our demographic potential.
Correct.
The employers know that the people that they are getting, they are trustworthy. And as a country, we gain from our human resource potential. So this is what we have been trying to do. And we are just 2 years into it, but I'm sure that we are learning every single day. Close to 60,000 people have already benefited from this channel. I'm sure that in times to come, through this program also many millions will come to know about it, and we'll be able to scale this up.
When we're looking at opportunities abroad, there are global employers that you coordinate with and you trade with, so to speak, and have these contracts that benefit the country on the whole as well as the workforce. What are some of the challenges you think we as India may face there?
I think so far this has remained a kind of a scattered effort within India. And globally, there isn't a perfect assessment of the requirement country-wise.
Okay.
The second thing, typically the employers are private persons or entities, while the governments are aware of the macro issues that the countries face. There is a mismatch there at times, and that needs to be filled in. In India, you have this ecosystem where skill centers are there. You have recruitment agents also, ethical, unethical, and then you have this micro and macro ecosystem that has been created by NSDC. So typically, we could have issues of social nature, economic nature, and cultural nature. I'll just give one examples of each. For example, in the economic, ensuring reasonable wages. Number 2 is ensuring that they have good housing and staying arrangements in that country.
Sure.
Socially and culturally, assimilation is an issue, both for our people as well as the host country. And culturally, you need to know the mores, customs, and protocol of that society.
Sure.
For example, we do namaste. The Japanese will typically bow down.
Yeah.
And language, for example, is extremely important. So on all these fronts, currently, NSDC and NSDC International, they're unleashing a huge number of initiatives, and each of them maybe requires discussion as we go along a journey of this podcast.
Mr. Tiwari, you've got an arduous task ahead of you. You may have recently started it, like you said, 2 years, but how are you then again designing that framework to ensure that this is then passed down to the workforce here and they are trained well enough to be ready to take on the world?
There is somehow some perception in the minds of the employer. If I am taking workers from a country where I have not taken earlier, are they good enough?
Correct.
So it's a question of are these workers good enough? Can I trust these workers? The next question is that if I take these workers, will they be able to merge with my existing workforce or not? And that's where the whole socio-cultural aspect comes into picture. The trust is always have two sides. And we are very conscious of this. We work with employers to understand what their work requirements are. And we all know that every country has a very different both occupational standards and standards of socio-cultural integration.
Correct.
We have developed deep understanding of various countries, close to 26 countries, in all their dimensions of their economy, the workplaces, the employers, occupation standards, languages, language qualifications, visa requirements. And that gives the confidence to employers that here is an agency who understands that what my requirement is going to be, and they will be acting on my behalf. Same way, when we go to candidates, when we tell them that this is how you will be trained for success, and the whole idea is that we have to train people for success. It's a big decision of their life that they want to leave the country of their residence, and they want to make a future for themselves. And that's where we believe that this deep understanding of what success means for an individual and for an employer is the key driver, and that's where we are bringing in foreign occupational standards into our training program.
Correct.
We are bringing foreign language certification into programs, and whole host of social and cultural factors for success. So our training programs are multidimensional. Another thing that I would use this opportunity of podcast, that Ministry of External Affairs has large number of recruitment agents who are authorized government agents. We work with them also. If anybody who has been approached by recruitment agents, please come and talk to NSDC International. We will be able to guide you on the right path.
Very important to know that, because accessibility is extremely crucial for anybody who wants to know what are the opportunities that are waiting for them. ज़्यादातर लोग यहाँ पर खुद पे विश्वास नहीं करते हैं कि हम बाहर भी जाकर काम कर सकते हैं, तो उस माइंडसेट पे भी क्या NSDCI फोकस करता है?
हाँ, इसीलिए हम पिछले कुछ दिनों में आपने देखा होगा कि हमने सोशल मीडिया के माध्यम से और हमारी कम्युनिकेशन टीम ने बहुत से लोगों की सक्सेस स्टोरी सामने लाई हैं, जिन लोगों ने कभी अपनी लाइफ में सोचा नहीं था, उनके मन में शायद ये थॉट भी नहीं था। बिकॉज टिपिकली अभी तो क्या था कि आपका कोई रिश्तेदार है, आपका कोई दोस्त है, आपके गांव का पहले गया है, तो वो एक चेन बनती थी। अब हम इसके माध्यम से करते हैं, हम अपने इंस्टीट्यूट सेटअप कर रहे हैं। देश भर में भारत सरकार ने स्किल इंडिया इंटरनेशनल सेंटर्स की स्थापना करी है।
ओके,
स्किल इंडिया इंटरनेशनल सेंटर्स कैन बी अ प्लेस जहाँ पे आप जाके इसके बारे में पता कर सकें। फिर हमारा NSDC की वेबसाइट्स पे जाके आप इसके बारे में पता कर सकते हैं, और हमारे सोशल मीडिया हैंडल्स काफ़ी इसके बारे में बात करते हैं। तो सब कोई अपना जीवन बना सकते हैं, और आप एक इन्फॉर्म्ड डिसीजन मेकिंग कर सकते हैं, बिकॉज हम बहुत सारे मटेरियल प्रोवाइड करते हैं इस बात को समझने के लिए कि आपके लिए बेहतर है कि नहीं है। और कई बार हमारे ट्रेनीज हैं, वो कई बार विदेश जब जाते हैं तो उनको नहीं अच्छा लगता, तो फिर हम उनके साथ ऊपर और काम करते हैं, उनको और कैसे प्लेस करा सकते।
टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ आपका भी वास्ता है, और टेक्नोलॉजी का ही उपयोग करके आपने पासपोर्ट सर्विसेज भी सेटअप किए थे पूरे देश में। पर क्या कुछ अभी भी ऐसे चैलेंजेस हैं जब वर्क फोर्स को लेकर हम ये ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम्स करते हैं यहाँ पर देश भर में, तो कोई चैलेंजेस आपने फेस किए हैं या आपने देखा है कि ये हैं इश्यूज?
मैं समझता हूँ कि इश्यूज हमेशा रहेंगे। हमारा जो देश है वो बहुत विविध तरह का है। यहाँ राज्य और केंद्र के संपर्क को भी महत्व होता है। तो जितना मैं समझता हूँ कि just as the central government, the state governments also need to come forward.
Right.
There has to be also a kind of a proper and regular communication among academia, industry, the skill ecosystem, and the global trends. Because global trends, whether it is of technology, whether climate change, whether aging, the better we understand, more we will be able to explore and exploit these opportunities. So we have a digital transformation, going on, and a number of things. For example, sitting here in headquarters, we had a recent visit of Malaysian minister, and he was able to see from the hundreds of skill centers that are working currently in India. He was able to go to any corner of India, to any skill center, see whether the class is going on or not, how many students are there, in a real time, visual and audible manner. This is, if I remember correctly, even the minister was quite surprised that you can really have this kind of a thing when you have hundreds of skill centers spread across the country, which is so huge, as you know.
Now, speaking of global trends, then, since he brought this up, Mr. Tiwari, trends keep changing, which means it is also disrupting the market in some way. So then how does NSDCI equip their technology centers, training centers to match that?
So good news is that India is the fastest growing large economy.
Lovely.
So our domestic requirements are not very different from the world needs today. And that gives us a good edge because we train close to 50 lakh लोगों को हर साल.
क्या बात है?
और range of technologies and domains, तो आप healthcare से hospitality हो, travel tourism हो, banking हो, technology हो. So हम लोग क्योंकि अपना एक बड़ा ecosystem इसको लेके है, we customize them for the requirement outside, and that helps us to leverage the infrastructure that we have.
Dr. Mulay, इंटरनेशनली आप इतने एक्सपीरियंस लेकर आ रहे हैं, तो कहीं कोई चैलेंजेस आपने वहाँ देखा था जो इंडिया में नहीं है, इंडिया में हमने उसे बहुत पहले ही ओवरकम किया है? ऐसे कोई इंसिडेंट या ऐसा कोई एक्सपीरियंस आपके पास है जो आप शेयर कर सकते हैं?
There is something called Indian Community Welfare Fund,
okay,
which is run by Ministry of External Affairs, which sees to it that nobody dies in distress overseas. And this fund is available with ambassadors. It is perennial. Somebody needs immediate emergency hospitalization. Let's say somebody needs a shelter immediately, Indian, or somebody has come under some criminal charges there and needs immediate legal assistance. Or unfortunately somebody dies. So there is an arrangement and availability of funds at the Indian embassy to send the person back. What in other words it means is India will never disown its own people. So that's the message, because there are problems. We have a huge population abroad, almost 35 million is the number of diaspora. Within that, 18 million are our own citizens. In Gulf alone, we have about 10 million people. So they have huge problems, and through when the NSDC and NSDCI will work together, this will be ameliorated. Our people will be able to live a life of dignity and pride and confidence. I think that's the value addition that will come out of this, because this is a complete value chain that NSDC seeks to accomplish through this effort.
I would like to add here
that
just now what Mr. Mulay is saying, somehow people feel कि मैं अपने देश से बाहर चला गया और कोई मुश्किल आई तो मेरे रिश्तेदार फ्रेंड्स अवेलेबल नहीं है. We are very proud that in NSDC International we want the person to succeed in life, not in migration. So if you face some challenge in the country where you are working, I will tell that our people make WhatsApp groups with those people who have gone from us and various methods of communication. और generally हमारे foreign services officers are great. Whenever you take a problem to them, they are very helpful. और ये एक और added benefit है NSDC International का. अगर आप इस माध्यम से जाते हैं तो आपको एक बात का assurance होगा कि आप वहाँ पे तकलीफ में नहीं होंगे. That's what I want to just give confidence to people कि आप वहाँ पे तकलीफ में नहीं होंगे, ये मेरा वादा है.
तो आई थिंक आप और इंतजार ना करें और NSDC इंटरनेशनल फॉलो करें on all social media platforms. Similarly, NSDC official. The tagline of NSDC and NSDC International is reimagining the future. Now, while we're reimagining the future in the area of bridging that gap for international skilling especially, how is NSDC International going about?
So I would say that the opportunity before India and Indians is great. आज आप लोग ग्लोबल वर्कफोर्स में 3 तरीके से पार्टिसिपेट कर सकते हैं. एक है जो लोग अपनी लाइफ को न्यूअर प्लेसेस, न्यू एक्सपीरियंसेस, न्यू सोशल लिविंग चाहते हैं, वो माइग्रेशन पाथ फॉलो कर सकते हैं. और माइग्रेशन पाथ्स many times are very rewarding because different countries of the world have shortage of different trades.
Correct.
So यहाँ पे NSDC International आपको हेल्प करता है. एंड दूसरा, अगर आपका एक आउटलुक है कि आप दुनिया एक्सप्लोर करना चाहते हैं, दैट्स अनदर वे. एंड आज जो वर्कफोर्स दुनिया में ग्लोबलाइज हो रही है, सो वर्किंग इन अ multicultural, multinational workforce, being part of that workforce is a huge plus to your career. And that is why we believe that many people should explore going abroad, work and come back. दूसरा रास्ता ये है कि जैसा मैंने बोला, हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी भारत को स्किल कैपिटल बनाने पे बहुत जोर दे रहे हैं. वन ऑफ द इनिशिएटिव्स इज कि मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कॉमर्स जितने भी इंडिया के फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट्स एंड कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक पार्टनरशिप एग्रीमेंट साइन हो रहे हैं, वहाँ पे सर्विसेज एक्सपोर्ट्स के ऊपर बहुत फोकस ला रही है. आप लोगों ने सुना होगा कि दुनिया भर के ग्लोबल कैपेबिलिटी सेंटर्स इंडिया में सेटअप हो रहे हैं. आज हिंदुस्तान में बैठे हुए आप दुनिया भर के लिए डिज़ाइन, अकाउंटेंसी, फाइनेंस, लॉ, कंप्लायंस, 1000 तरीके के काम आप एक ग्लोबल वर्कफोर्स में इंडिया में बैठ के कर सकते हैं. दैट्स अनदर अपॉर्चुनिटी दैट यू डोंट have to, you will be part of a multinational team, but you will be within the country. And third, जो हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने PLI स्कीम्स को के थ्रू मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को किक स्टार्ट करने की बात करी है. बहुत सारा एक्सपोर्ट इंडिया से अब मैन्युफैक्चर्ड गुड्स का होगा, और वो एक्सपोर्ट जो होगा वो उसके कस्टमर विदेश में बैठे होंगे. सो आप हिंदुस्तान की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेटअप में काम कर रहे होंगे, बट आपके कस्टमर अब्रॉड होंगे. सो 3 रास्ते. आप अगर थोड़े एडवेंचरस हैं और अपना टैलेंट प्रीमियम देखना चाहते हैं तो आप दूसरे कंट्री में जाइए. अगर आप यहाँ रहते हुए ग्लोबल वर्कफोर्स के पार्ट बनना चाहते हैं तो सर्विसेज एक्सपोर्ट्स के एरियाज में काम करिए. और अगर आप मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर्स में हैं तो लॉट्स PLI सेक्टर्स की जो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेटअप्स आ रहे हैं वो वर्ल्ड की बेस्ट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग फैसिलिटी सेटअप हो रही है, इंक्लूडिंग चिप मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इन इंडिया. ये नेवर बिफोर अपॉर्चुनिटी है, और आप सबको मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि इस मैसेज को ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों तक पहुंचाएं कि हमारे पास अपॉर्चुनिटी ग्लोबल वर्कफोर्स में पार्टिसिपेट करने की है. तो रीइमेजिन योर फ्यूचर दैट बिकम अ पार्ट ऑफ ए ग्लोबल वर्कफोर्स.
अब बताइए, why is it that everybody is looking at going abroad?
पिछले कुछ दिनों में ग्लोबल इवेंट्स कुछ ऐसी हुई हैं दैट दुनिया में सप्लाई चेन्स रिजिग हो रही हैं
जी,
तो वैल्यू चेन्स रिजिग हो रही हैं. दैट इज गिविंग अपॉर्चुनिटी टू मैनी बिजनेसेस इन इंडिया टू बिकम ग्लोबल. और जब वो ग्लोबल बिजनेसेस, हिंदुस्तान की कंपनियां जब ग्लोबल बिजनेसेस बनती हैं तो बहुत सारे लोगों को अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलता है, और हम अपने एक फेमिलियर सेटअप में जाके आपको एक टैलेंट प्रीमियम मिलता है, आपको एक इंटरनेशनल वर्कफोर्स में काम करने का एक्सपीरियंस मिलता है, एक नई दुनिया, एक नए सोशल एनवायरनमेंट, एक न्यू कल्चर को एक्सपीरियंस करने का मौका है. दीज आर ऑल वैल्यूएबल एक्सपीरियंसेस. और अब हिंदुस्तान से माइग्रेशन इन डिस्ट्रेस का इशू नहीं है, माइग्रेशन फॉर अपॉर्चुनिटीज करने का मौका है कि हमको माइग्रेशन को डिस्ट्रेस माइग्रेशन की तरफ देखना बंद करना चाहिए और अपॉर्चुनिटी माइग्रेशन की तरफ देखना शुरू करने की जरूरत है.
In fact, that brings me to the question of migration. The donkey route, as now people popularly know. Why do people still resort to those routes? Because it's so risky, so dangerous to life, and of course illegal.
Yeah, there are 2-3 reasons why people go out. Number one, basic need. Some people do think even now that by going abroad, they will immediately get job and opportunities.
Zindagi badal jayegi.
Number 2 is those who are looking for better opportunities. There is somebody working maybe here as a nurse or an electrician, but the salary and pay scales may not be comfortable to the person. So that person also wants to go. Now, often people are ignorant about the formal channels. And there are lots of, unfortunately, touts and middlemen. They are all over, and they give these allurements and false promises, and also extract a lot of money from these gullible people. This obviously now need not be there at all, because this entire effort of Government of India and NSDCI International is really to see that no Indian needs to take that other channel. The other dimension which I would like to add to what Ved sir said, is that India as a country is now looking towards a global role. You would have seen the way Prime Minister has built goodwill in various parts of the world. So there is a certain welcoming environment right now for India.
Yes.
And Indian workers. There's a preference for Indians who have proved, Satya Nadella or Sundar Pichai are just the glorious examples. But there are lots of other people who have made us proud. People need to know, and through this medium also of podcast, we should tell people that there is no need to undertake a migration through illegal channels or through agents who are not authorized. And here is NSDC. Here it's ready to counsel you. It's ready to upgrade your skills. If you don't have, skills can be imparted, and you ready for future workforce. Can be created. And let me also add that reimagining is not only for India, but for the entire global human resource. India can be the human resource hub for the whole world.
Right.
And whether the person works from here or he goes abroad, he will be serving the cause of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, to put it, in our value context also.
Lovely. Migration is no longer a problem, and you have plugged any issues that you had, the loopholes, especially when it comes to the donkey route or not being aware or accessible to this kind of information and knowledge. How is NSDC International trying to reach out to people and tell them of means which are legal, first of all, and you don't even have to spend so much money?
However hard we may try, देश में बहुत सारे ऐसे हिस्से हैं, बहुत लोग हैं जिनको पता नहीं होता कि एक ट्रस्टेड चैनल है, एक कोई रास्ता है. दूसरा, कभी कभी हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने वैसे बहुत कोशिश करी है कि ईज ऑफ गवर्नेंस की कि लोगों को सरकार कैसे सहायक के रूप में दिखाई दे. पर बहुत सारे लोगों के बीच और बहुत सारे देश के क्षेत्रों में लोग सरकार से डरते भी हैं कि क्या हम सरकार के चैनल से जाएंगे. वो ये सोचते हैं कि क्या हमको किसी का प्रभाव का यूज करना पड़ेगा, किसी के सिफारिश लगानी पड़ेगी. तो सरकार को लेके पिछले 10 सालों में बहुत काम हुआ है. सरकार को एक सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका प्रयास की बात जो हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी करते हैं, उसके पीछे एक भावना ये है कि सरकार को अपना मित्र समझिए. और ये एक अपॉर्चुनिटी है जो, जैसा कि हमने कहा, NSDC इंटरनेशनल, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स, कॉमर्स, हेल्थ, एजुकेशन, स्किल, सबके साथ मिलकर काम करती है. आप एक बार कोशिश करिए, आपको कोई रिक्रूटमेंट एजेंट के भी थ्रू जा रहे हैं तो एक बार जस्ट NSDC से कनेक्ट हो जाइए, अपनी बात बताइए, हम आपको उस पर भी गाइड कर पाएंगे. इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी कि यही एक रास्ता है. मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स ने बहुत सारे रिक्रूटमेंट एजेंट्स को ऑथराइज कर रखा है. Many of them are very good, but as in society, as in any business, there will be good people, there will be bad people. अगर कभी आप किसी भी एजेंट के थ्रू अगर आप जाना भी चाहते हैं तो एक बार NSDC इंटरनेशनल को टैप कर लीजिए. हम आपको उस रास्ते पे भी बता पाएंगे कि जो अपॉर्चुनिटी आपको दिखाई जा रही है, जो रास्ता बताया जा रहा है, जो खर्चा आपको बताया जा रहा है, वो आपको उस पर विश्वास करना चाहिए. मैं उसी तरीके की एक चीज़ देख पा रहा हूँ दुनिया में केयर को लेके. जिस तरीके से एजिंग इकोनॉमीज, सोशल सिस्टम्स ब्रेक डाउन कर रहे हैं, कल्चरल नॉर्म्स चेंज हो रहे हैं, केयर हैज़ बिकम अ वेरी बिग प्रॉब्लम इन डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज. और इंडिया इज बिकमिंग अ प्रेफर्ड चॉइस बिकॉज हमारा डायस्पोरा सारी दुनिया में इस बात के लिए जाना जाता है कि हिंदुस्तान के लोगों ने किसी भी देश में कभी कोई समस्या पैदा नहीं करी. इसी वजह से आज हम लार्जेस्ट डायस्पोरा इन द वर्ल्ड है, even more than China. So Indians living abroad is the largest diaspora in the world. हमको as a country भी benefit करता है. हमको करीब $125 billion की रेमिटेंस जो हमारे डायस्पोरा बाहर रहता है भेजता है. हमारा ऑयल बिल का इम्पोर्ट बिल करीब $120 बिलियन का है. दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ थिंग दैट आई सी कि हमारा डायस्पोरा हमारी ताकत है. जैसा कि मैंने आपको बोला कि केयर सेक्टर एक बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी की तरह निकल रहा है. हिंदुस्तान IT कैपिटल की तरह केयर कैपिटल बनेगा. उसी तरीके से बहुत सारे सेक्टर्स हैं जहाँ पे इंडियन वर्कफोर्स की काफ़ी वैल्यू है. हॉस्पिटैलिटी, ट्रैवल, टूरिज़्म, ये और नए सेक्टर इमर्ज हो रहे हैं जहाँ पे इंडियंस का के लिए काफ़ी डिमांड है. कंस्ट्रक्शन सेक्टर में हम एक फोर्स की तरह इमर्ज हो रहे हैं। रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी, क्योंकि इंडिया में लार्ज बिल्ट हो रहा है रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी, तो रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी में हम लोग वो कर रहे हैं। हमारे प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट कैपेबिलिटीज़, हमारी प्रोजेक्ट इंजीनियरिंग कैपेबिलिटीज़, इनकी दुनिया में बहुत डिमांड है। जो पूरा ट्रांसपोर्टेशन का स्पेस है, चाहे वो रेलवे ट्रांसपोर्टेशन हो, वो सी ट्रांसपोर्टेशन हो, एयर ट्रांसपोर्टेशन हो, सो आई थिंक अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ काफ़ी हैं। हमारे एजुकेशनिस्ट जो हैं, हमारे टीचर्स की डिमांड दुनिया में बहुत है। सो आप जिस भी क्षेत्र में हो, हम जिन सेक्टर में नहीं भी होंगे, वहाँ पे हमको आगे बढ़ के उसको एक्सप्लोर करना है। और NSDC इंटरनेशनल डेफिनेटली आपके साथ काम करेगा। आपके पसंद के क्षेत्र में कौन सी दुनिया में आपको वैल्यू मिलेगा, वो आपके लिए निकाल के लाएगा।
Very, very good. In fact, I think it is incredible that the National Skill Development Corporation International is working towards really changing the outlook as well as changing accessibility and resources, the availability of resources for everyone who is ready to take on the world, as we can say. Before we end the podcast, I have some fun questions for both of you.
Oh.
Are you all ready for it?
I hope they are not tough.
You'll find out. Okay, I'll go with
God.
Dr. Mulay first. What was your first job?
Deputy collector in Pune.
All right. When you were a foreign diplomat, which one of the countries was most challenging?
Maldives.
Is it? Okay. What is your favorite season?
Autumn.
Which new skill have you picked up in the past year?
How not to retire.
Maharashtrian cuisine, Italian pasta, or Japanese sushi? Arrange it in order of preference.
Sushi, Marathi cuisine, and then in pastime pasta.
Okay. Okay. What word do you hate hearing?
I can't do this.
Who is your hero?
Nelson Mandela.
Where did you go on your last vacation?
Sindhudurg in Maharashtra.
Oh, lovely.
Konkan.
What is your favorite word in another language?
Arigato, which means thank you in Japanese.
Lovely.
Grateful.
And the last question, does retirement ever cross your mind? You've already mentioned it, but a yes or no?
No.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mulay.
Thank you.
Over to you, Mr. Tiwari. You ready for this?
Yes.
It's very tough.
Yeah.
You just figured that out. It's very tough.
I was contemplating.
What was your first job?
As engineer in Hindustan Petroleum Corporation.
What is a new skill set that you and your team introduced in the past year?
Artificial intelligence.
Oh, good. What is your favorite food?
I am not a foodie, so
But still something like a comfort food that you always fall back on.
I am very fond of sweets, any kind of sweet.
Oh, okay. Morning person or evening person?
Morning person.
Okay. In how many years do you think India will be the top economy with the best skills? So 10 years, 15 years or 25 years?
10 years.
Wow. Where did you go on your last vacation?
I went to Udaipur.
Nice, lovely. What was your favorite subject in school?
Physics.
Oh, what is one new skill you wish to learn in the coming year?
Artificial intelligence.
Classical music, retro music, or new age popular music?
Bollywood music.
Okay. And the last question, what book are you currently reading?
I read many books simultaneously.
Ooh.
I'm reading title I'm not remembering. It's about how we can learn about artificial intelligence through development of human intelligence.
Ooh, very good. I think I'll need to take the name of that book down.
Yeah, I'll send you.
Well, with that, we have come to the end of a fun round. We changed the gears a little bit, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Perfectly.
Did it take
Look
you back
forward to-
the
Yes,
younger days
yes.
or something? And maybe you'll go back
I'm
home.
still
and-
young, so don't
Yeah.
worry about that.
Maybe you'll go back home and find extra time to
Yes.
be with yourself, I guess.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was
Wonderful.
really pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, and stimulating too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, this has been a riveting conversation with my guests, Dr. Mulay as well as Mr. Tiwari. And with that, we've come to the end of our very first episode of SkillPod. Many thanks once again to Dr. Dnyaneshwar Mulay and Mr. Vedmani Tiwari. You know, we have had so much learning today with all the insights that you have shared with us about the opportunities, the ever-evolving landscape of resources, as well as workforce and skilling the workforce in our country. Don't forget to join us in the next episode of NSDC SkillPod, where we will continue talking to experts who are going to relate to us as well as talk to us about the changing landscape of skill development in India.